So hello there everyone, this is a new Reaper video, and today we're gonna go and make an overview of how I craft my leaf suits and my concealment system. Things that I've learned from a few very nice places, and one of the most important one would be the Sniper Ops Facebook group. So go ahead and check that out. It would be groups Sniper Operations on Facebook. So as you can see, you are in my balcony at my apartment right now, and I have lined up a few things. Down here would be some of the spray paints I use for some of the crafting, some of the materials. I'm going to explain how I use them. Over here the same, I'm gonna tell you how I crafted this harness here, how I crafted my goggles and balaclava or face cover, or what you want to call it, and then we're gonna go through some of the leaf suits I wear, the couple of leaf suits that I usually wear. I have a autumn one on the left and a summer one on the right. Alright, so from time to time I'm going to check my camera angle, that everything I get to show you exactly what I want, so that the camera is angled correctly. Okay, so some time ago, when I started looking into how to make these concealment systems, I stumbled upon one of the greatest YouTubers that I know. Well, he's one of the greatest for me. He is Kicking Mustang, and go ahead and check out his channel. It has great content, like absolutely phenomenal content. I really liked his game style with the way he played, so I decided that I would want to get into that play style as well. So what I did, I checked out exactly how he does his suits and how to get into that kind of stuff with the materials you need, the way you craft it and all that stuff, and I learned a lot. And now I'm going to show you how I did mine. He also did a couple of videos on how to do this, and he has its own way of doing his things, and I learned how to do things with my own materials, and we're gonna get right into it right now. So in the beginning, I bought leaf suit. Mine was a MIL-TEC one, I guess. Yeah, I think it was a MIL-TEC leaf suit. We're gonna check that out in a minute. We're gonna get there and check the label. And I started crafting it with some cheap leaves that I found on wish.com, I guess. Yeah, that would be looking just like these. When you order them, you have a few different colors, but this would be the easiest to craft with for autumn season, because it was pretty much midsummer when I started, so I had to prepare for autumn, because when you prepare your suits you always have to look ahead for the season ahead, because by the time you finish it's basically going to be that season you were preparing for. So yeah, you always got to keep looking forward. So when the leaves came in, they look pretty much like this, and so they look like this when they're natural from the packaging, and you need to get them to look something like this. So immediately you can see there's a huge difference. So getting them to look from that to something like this, yeah, this is not natural. This, you might mistake it for natural if you're in the right place, but not this one. This is gonna stick out like a sore thumb. So here's what you got to do to make those look a lot better. What I used in the beginning was, and I still use them, it's these acrylic inks, of course, it would be better if you could get the ink itself, as it says over here. But these are most likely acrylic paints. But you know, ink is a lot better. Paint, you can still work with paint, but it's not as good. So again, this is paint. So I went up on a site and started looking around for the kind of shades I might need to get the right coloration, because you need to start with that weird yellow and get it to look browny, and you need a little bit of orange to make it look like that, you know, the way it would start rusting or just decomposing. And you need to get it a bit darker with darker browns, but not too dark, because then you'll end up with something like this, which is pretty dark, or it would turn even darker. And you know, for some places it's good, but not always. After I did some of those leaves, I also went and bought some sneaky leaves. It looks just like this. Admittedly, there are a few more shades in the bag, and there's a few bags over here that contain a lot more materials, and you'll see some of the other color variations. A different thing I did was get spray paint, and here are a few colors that I use. I use Vietnam green for summer colors, and I'll show you in a minute exactly where I use them. I use olive drop for darker green shades. I use dark brown where I need the leaves to go really dark, or other parts that I need to get really dark brown, that base brown that needs to look like the ground, the earth, or soil, or whatever. It's really good. Then I have the fleck tan brown, which I use for, sorry about that, fleck tan brown that I use to get this closer shade to this. It's really good if you want to get a shade pretty close to this. It's that typical brown where leaves start to go reddish, you know, it's like that slightly red brown. This is a really good color. This is really good color. And of course I use some of the US olive to make that rotting green-ish color. So yeah, other materials that I have used in the past are, I've got some of this mesh material. It looks like this on the back. This is a MIL-TEC material. I don't know exactly what it's called. I guess it's sort of a veil that you could get. And I got it in multicam because I was running a lot of multicam in that period. And I found out that not all the multicams are good for, you know, all the places you go. So in certain places it's pretty good. We have very different colored vegetation, but it could be a bit bright in certain situations. And what I did was I took the veil and some raffia. Raffia is something like this. You know, I'm pretty sure you know what raffia is. Well, if you look up on the internet, raffia on Wish or AliExpress or all that stuff, you're gonna get it in a bundle, something like this one. It's gonna look like this in the package, and just untangle it, and you cut it into strips. You insert it in through one of these holes, and you basically cut a little hole in the leaf, and you tie a knot, and you knot it onto the material you want to put leaves on. So yeah, also there's a version where you could do some zip tie work, but yeah, I mostly do it with raffia. that's the one that works for me the best, because in my area there's a lot of dry grass sticking out of the ground where the leaves are, so I need to have some of that dry grass look. Okay, what else I did was buy some material like this off of wish.com, and it's pretty good. It's pretty nice. I guess this is in the hunting section. It's I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like one of those hunter veil thingies that you put up so the birds don't see you when you try to hunt them down. And it's just pretty good. It's pretty good, but I use it in different ways. Sometimes I just bundle it up to get a darker, shape disrupting stuff. And sometimes I just cut down a piece and spray it with the Vietnam green and the olive drab to make something like this. This is something pretty close to halo screen, I guess I could say. So you could just buy this cheap material and spray paint it all over and make it green. And I put the darker one on the inside over here and the brighter one on the outside, and just twist it and then tie it up with some raffia. And after that you just put one more loop of raffia over it, and you just tie it to whatever you want with that raffia. So it's basically just tied to that. Something else I did, I bought some elastic bands. This comes in like long meters. You get it for meters. By the way, I'm from Europe, from Romania, so yeah, we use meters. What I did to the elastics, I spray paint them with the different colors. As you can see, this is olive drab and going to dark brown, and here's some US olive and different variations of colors. You just spray paint it in the long length of it, and then you just cut it up in strips. And what you do is take these strips and basically glue it to your leaf suit in specific areas where you want to attach some natural vegetation. The glue I use is the almighty shoe glue. This is basically the best glue you could find. I tried other glues. Trust me, I went and bought other like cheaper glues or glues that I could find closer to me, and those didn't work very well. They just ripped off after a couple of games. They started losing leaves and stuff. So yeah, I thought, okay, shoe glue has its own reason to be the greatest glue you could buy for this stuff. So I went on ahead and got on Amazon, and about a box, about 12, I guess. I don't know, something like that. Because I wanted to last me a long while. I didn't want to go and have to buy shoe glue every time I needed to stick something together. So what I did, for example, with my power bank here that I use for my cameras, that is on the outside, I spray painted it and spread some shoe glue on the back of it and added some dry moss. With that dry moss, I actually bought, you can see it right here, you can just buy dry moss from wish.com or AliExpress or whichever suits your fancy. Just buy it, and you just sprinkle it all over the glue. You tap it on, let it dry, and after it dries, you just shove the rest off, and you're done. Okay. Something else I sometimes use is these fake leaves that I got from a friend. He's also an airsoft player, and I did some more tech work for him, and instead for payment I opted to get some fake leaves, because he is in the decorations business, and you know, sometimes they make decorations for certain events. They use fake plants, and yeah, he gets some leftover stuff, and you know, I need it. So what I did here, these come pretty shiny. So you might see it over here on the bottom part. It's shinier than on the top half, right? And that is because naturally it's pretty shiny, very shiny. So I needed to just lightly dust it over with a little bit of spray paint. So change the color a little bit. Okay, a different thing I use, for example, on most of my guns is this Jack Pike camouflage tape. It's pretty good. I really like it. It's pretty tough tape. It holds on really well and does a really great job at concealing bigger surfaces. When you need to conceal bigger surfaces, it's great. Alright, I'm going to put all these aside, and we're going to move on ahead to my H-harness, my rig that I use. So this is the harness that I use. This is the way it looks on the back, and this is sides, and this is the holster that I use for my Mark 23. This is the front, and where I'm supposed to get inside. So as you can see, it has some pouches, some bags, and a lot of things attached, but on the outside it's pretty nicely done. So what I did was either attach some leaves with raffia or just glue it on with shoe glue. Here I have some strips that I cut off some of my leaf suits, and I'll tell you why I cut those off. Even these I cut off in my leaf suit. And some more raffia to, you know, the dry grass look. Over here I just glued it with shoe glue. A lot of moss. It's stuck in there. Now it looks great. So you don't get a huge surface without some sort of coloration. And so what these things exactly are, well, the H harness itself is basically condor H harness. This is a 1 liter camelback. I'm not exactly sure who made this. Don't remember exactly. This belt is basically a GFC multicam belt. It used to be multicam, but now I spray painted like a ton over it and covered it up. And I also paint some of the sneaky leaves to make it look a bit more authentic, because the other colors, the yellow is very bright in my opinion, and just a little bit of spray paint, you can't fix that. And over here I added some North Mountain gear strips, some leaves, and colored stuff to attach to one of these pouches to make it, you know, stand out a little less. This is where my rubber knife would be going in, and these are some pouches for some magazines or pistol mags or whatever. And here I normally put the holster for my gas blowback pistol. So yeah, you know, don't think about it too much. Just put some glue and attach some stuff nicely on there, make it all different colors and patterns. So I'm gonna move on ahead and look into these bags. Here I have this is what the yellow sneaky leaves look like naturally, and this is when I take a little bit of that Vietnam green spray paint and put a little dab in there on the back as well, because it looks a lot more natural for autumn season when the green leaves start to get yellow on the outside but still a little bit green on the middle. If you put this on, this is going to be very strong. I mean, it's not going to look right. So I just add a little dab of green, and I have a huge bag of those because I bought like 3 bags of sneaky leaves, because one bag is a lot of yellow, very few green, and some brown. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I needed different colors. I needed to be able to use my suits all season, and back in that time I wanted to use more sneaky leaves because they look pretty good. They still look pretty good. They are pretty good, especially these autumn ones. These brown ones, man, these are terrific. These are really good, really nice. To where I play, these colors are perfect. But sometimes I experiment and do some other color variations because, you know, leaves don't have just these 2 colors on them. So you need to vary it up. You need to make it look different all over the suit. So here is the North Mountain Gear strip that I talked about. You can just, I got this from Scrim Shop. Yeah, the sneaky leaves, where I got the sneaky leaves, because you might be wondering where I got the sneaky leaves from. I got one off Scrim Shop, but then I found a site, something like turkey hunting or whatever, and it was a lot better price over there, so I decided to buy from there. Next, I have my face mask, or balaclava, or what you want to call it. Crafted this with some part of my summer leaf suit over some of my autumn leaf suit. This is actually part of the MFH leaf suit, and why I combined the 2 materials, as you can see, that's the MFH and that's the MIL-TEC, I guess. Don't worry, we'll look at the label in a moment. Why I combined the 2? Because I use this all season, so this this needs to be good anywhere and everywhere. And yeah. So here are my goggles. Man, these have went through a lot of years now. I mean, yeah, the leaves are all bent. They all want to stick to a certain spot in a certain way. So what I did was buy a pair of mesh goggles, and they used to be just regular olive, and the mesh itself was black, so I spray painted it with olive drab. Then took some pieces off of my off the pants of the leaf suit at the bottom here, because the pants were a little bit too long, and because they were too long, the bottom leaves would have gotten destroyed. They would come all the way down here, but I would step on them because they would be too long. So instead of stepping on them and basically shredding and destroying some very good material, I decided to cut it off and add it to places like the goggles, where I needed some extra little pieces of camouflage. So I glued those on with shoe glue, and then I took some of those Chinese leaves and colored them. This was spray painted, and the color is already coming off. This is also spray painted, and this down here was colored with ink. Now the differences, I guess, are pretty obvious to why you should spray paint or why you should use ink, and I'm going to show that right now. So here are some examples of leaves. These are spray painted right here with different colors of spray paint, and these right here are made with ink. These are colored with ink. Now this was colored with ink, but this little portion here on the sides, where it's a different color, got stuck to the bottom of the bag and absorbed a lot more color. while this absorbed only some of the color. I don't know why that happens, but it happens. This was colored with dark brown, and it just made the yellow tint go darker, I guess, but not too browny. So I used the more orange to make it a lot more the more natural brown, like that brown, than the dark black brown. And the difference is, this you get only one nuance of green or one nuance of brown, which is one strong color of brown, for example. But with these, you could get a lot more color combinations. Like these were all made in different compositions. I made like 4 or 5 different bags of color mixtures and add some 20-30 leaves into each bag, and they're all gonna look different because they each absorb a different amount of different colors. These are some of the options you could buy for, and this is the way they look on the Chinese side. This is the way it comes in the bag. This is the green version. And what I do for summer is let me find one of those. Is yeah, I take these leaves and spray paint a little bit of what was that? Vietnam green. Yeah. Oh, this is a lot better. Yeah, Vietnam green on the sides, so it still holds that intense green in the middle, which you get in summer leaves, and you still you have a little bit darker green on the outside, but not too dark, because summer leaves, man, they really like to be really bright. Like, at least where I play, they're really bright. So yeah, we basically moved on to my 2 suits. I didn't craft too much on my autumn suit because in wintertime, the color of this leaf suit is basically just perfect. So there's no point in crafting too much, because, man, the colors are on point. This is MFH suit right here. Yeah, this is the MFH ML suit. You know, a lot of players complain that they might not be the sturdiest suits, and I've used this for 1 season. No issues whatsoever, except in one place, in one particular place, I guess. One of these strips came off, I guess. I got it right here. This used to come down all the way here, and this much kind of broke off, and I cut it off with a scissor because, you know, there's enough material here. Other than that, it didn't break, it didn't cut, it held on pretty well, so it's an okay suit. It's pretty good. But this suit, this is the Wild Trees, as it says here. Wild Trees version of the let me see, can I get a label in here somewhere? Or did I cut it off? Yeah, it's the MIL-TEC. It's the MIL-TEC suit, and the quality of this suit is way better than this one. It's a lot stronger. It's a lot stronger. The material used here is a lot better. What I did to this suit, I also added some of these elastic loops that you saw me a few minutes ago crafting, or at least I explained how I crafted. So I can add some natural vegetation over here. Stuck it here with Shugu, and it holds extremely well. These are some of those well, what you would call man, it slips my mind right now, but I think, you know, a halo screen. Yeah, this is halo screen thing. Yeah, and the snaky leaves added here, some of the Chinese leaves, some of the fake green leaves, and considering all that, it's still pretty brown. That's something I might not like, that it's still pretty brown. I mean, in a slightly foresty area. I mean, where the forest isn't too thick, you know, it's a smaller forest, or it's a pretty thin forest, I guess the colors might be okay with these browns, where, you know, there's some leaves on the ground and there's still a little bit of green here and there, and you know, it might be okay. But if you want to go into, or maybe, you know, in a deep forest where the ground is full of dead leaves and they're pretty much dried up in midsummer already, I guess the colors are pretty good. But if you're going into a fresh forest where there's a lot of green, and there's you know, a lot of green on the floor level, like a lot of bushes and all that stuff, this is not gonna cut it. So you're gonna need a lot greener suit. Anyways, yeah, these are my leaf suits, and I'm gonna show you one more thing, the way I did my boonie hat. I'm just gonna need to go and grab that because I didn't bring it here. Just be right back in just a moment with that. Alright guys, so I'm back with my boonie hat here. This time I'm recording off my phone because it's been a couple of days since I did the initial recording, because I thought that I had recorded it with my head cam, but it appears that I was wrong. So when I was starting editing the video, I realized that what I captured was actually something else. So the actual video about my boonie hat was missing. So here we are. So this is the front part of the boonie hat. This is where I attached the GoPro mount for my head cam. And this is the inside of the boonie hat. This is an Emerson gear boonie hat. I really like the Emerson gear stuff. They make some really good quality uniforms and pouches and all sorts of accessories. Now, as you can see, I have cut off the front of the boonie hat. That is because when I was attaching the camera here up front, this entire front of the boonie hat used to come down into my eyes and just basically giving me a hard time to see. I was making a shadow and all of that stuff, so I cut it off. What else did I do? I used some of that MIL-TEC mesh material that I shown you earlier, and have glued it onto the boonie hat right here at the top of where this round elongation thing would come. You know, I don't know what to call this. I'm not a native English speaker, so yeah. And I let it free because I need to be able to get underneath so I could tie the raffia, to which I then tied these Chinese leaves. It didn't used to be this green when I started making this video. Since then I already started adapting my suit to the summertime. I also added some of this weird grass looking thing. Don't know exactly what it's called. Maybe a variation of the raffia, I don't know exactly. But anyways, so basically here's some elastic band that I added. I told you about. It's just glued on through this mesh material over here, so I can put stuff through it, just like this grass. And taking some of these Chinese leaves that I colored, different colors, different patterns, different versions, and just attached them with some raffia to the mesh material. Just put the mesh through, put the raffia through the mesh. If only it would focus, and here we go, and tie stuff to the mesh. I guess the easiest way to do it. I put some of this rope here because it looks a lot like twigs. Even here on the side, as you can see, these look like small little branches sticking out. When you look from afar, it's like little branches. So that's pretty good. What else I did? I started working on my the back of my harness, my carrying system. I added these little fake twiggy looking things. The green is pretty good. It's pretty well done. I've added some of these green Chinese leaves. Put on these green sneaky leaves. Work really well. And just add a bunch of green all over, mainly. And I added small patches of this mesh material, glued it on that side and over here as well. Just let me get this out of the way so I can add some more of this green, well, stuff. I don't know exactly what to call it. I would like to stimulate some grass with it because the area I play in has a lot of green grass. So yeah, there's a bunch of material down there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching and see you on the next video. Don't know exactly what that is going to be about since I'm still stuck inside with the coronavirus out rampant. And it's still illegal to go outside and play airsoft, so yeah, hard times. Well, see you soon.